Michael Russo, The Athletic, theathletic.com, at Russo Hockey, and he joins us now from Las Vegas. The Canes are champions. Did Vegas just run out of gas last night? And good morning.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they seem to fade. You know, I don't think in short series like this that you could recover from blowing leads and all that type of stuff. And, you know, I think that when they lost game 4, that was their opportunity that they let squander away, going back to Carolina 2-2 when they had such a lead in game 4. And they also faded in game 2. And that was a game where I thought that they really should have won as well. So, you know, I just, they're a really good team, but I do think they ran out of gas. I thought it was ridiculous that Eichel and Marner didn't speak last night. But, you know, Eichel looked to me like a very, very tired athlete yesterday. He's obviously played a ton of hockey this year, but he's on the flank and he just couldn't get shots off, and he scored no goals in the series. And, you know, Carolina they are relentless. They don't stop. We talked about this the last time I was on with you. They just come at you and come at you and come at you. It's why a lot of us at The Athletic, I was actually shocked today. I looked back at our predictions, about 7 or 8 of us picked Carolina in 6. And you know, I think we saw this series why they're as good as they are.
Who is Chris Johnston, and how much of the Canes' unlikely hero story did you let him write?
He's one of our insiders at The Athletic, one of the great teammates that we have, breaks a ton of news, and we had a blast, and we you know, obviously he and I double teamed going on the ice and grabbed a bunch of different guys. So if you're talking about the Inside the Cup celebration one today, we pretty much split that down the middle and wrote different sections of it. And we've done that, I think, 4 years in a row now, and we have a pretty good system on how we get to do how we do it. And that's the coolest part of the National Hockey League. That's changed about, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago, where after games, we actually interview players on the ice, which I'm really happy about, because I remember my first Stanley Cup final was in Washington, and the Detroit Red Wings locker room had to be the size of like a bathroom at the time. And, man, was it brutal being in there and getting splashed with champagne and things like that. And I think that's how the locker room should be after a cup win. It should be just for the players and the staff to enjoy themselves and party it up, and the media shouldn't be allowed in there. And they do it incredibly in the NHL, where you go on the ice. And the other cool part is, and you realize how much these guys eat into ice during a game. When you walk on the ice after a game like that, after a period, it's like walking on grass. There's no chance of slipping. So like, it's actually really a cool thing to just kind of be out on the, you know, on their surface, where they just won the Stanley Cup, and he and I have a good system on how we get that done.
Now, at Russo Hockey, Russo Radio, that story we're talking about at The Athletic is fantastic. It's about a family affair, a brotherly love, also unlikely hero, which is Brandon Bussi, goaltender for Carolina.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he asks the Canes to rip up his deal that starts him next season at $850,000. He saved the series for Carolina.
Absolutely, and that was cool. I did the Busty piece, so I got to talk to his fiance, actually exclusively on the ice, and I got to be there when Jason Blake embraced his son Jackson, and got to do that section of the story. And of course I did the Stahl brother one of that story as well. And in terms of Busty, he actually, you know, this is what Carolina does. They get these guys on sweetheart deals, and they always get ahead of it. And, you know, I give Eric Tulsky a lot of credit during the Olympics, and it was like nobody even saw it too, because we were all at the Olympics. They extended him at $1.9 million per at 3 years. And imagine that now. I mean, you know, Freddie Anderson is an unrestricted free agent. I mean, Bussi, who knows, could be their number one next year. And this is an organization that does have this belief that you don't have to pay goaltenders a lot of money. And they were right again. I give them credit. And Bussi came out of the scrap heap, so to speak. He's been a journeyman. He's 27 years old, had never played in the National Hockey League. He was put on waivers by Florida in October. He was driving up to the minors with his fiance in 2 separate calls. He gets a call from his agent, tells his fiance, calls her up, says, pull over. They pull over at a Quick Trip, and he tells them, we're going to Carolina, and they just veered off and went to Raleigh. And next thing you know, he's in the opening night lineup, goes 31-6-2 this season.
Yeah.
And then is the backup the entire postseason, and Freddie tweaks knee in game 2, it turns out, and winds up coming in and saving the series and winning 3 games in a row. It's just an incredible story from a guy that 3 years ago played some ECHL games.
Like Michael just said, the Carolina general manager is Eric Tulsky. Kind of fleeced Dallas in that Mikko Rantanen deal, right? I mean, he got Stankoven and 4 picks, including 2 first-rounders. Good work by that guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a league of where in general managers' chairs, there's a bunch of former hockey players and jocks and things like that. You know, a lot of them didn't go to college, and this guy's a scientist in his yesteryear, and he comes to Carolina as a sort of an analytics guy. And next thing you know, he's running this franchise, and he made so many right moves. And, you know, he went out and took a big swing for Jake Gensel a couple years ago. I think that Carolina lowballed him until the end because that is also their way. And Jake wound up going to Tampa Bay. So this last year they go out and get Mikko Rantanen. They try to sell him on Raleigh. He had no interest in re-signing there, but then he rectifies the situation and goes out and gets in a three type team trade. Logan Stankoven and Taylor Hall, and the two of them were just unbelievable on a line all playoffs long with Jackson Blake. That line combined for 25 goals and 55 points in 19 games, and they just ran the show for that team. And Stankoven was awesome, as well as Taylor Hall. So, you know, and the other thing is, like, I've covered Carolina now the last 4 years in a row because I covered that 2023 Eastern Conference final when they were swept. I covered last year when they lost in 5 games. And what he's done, and I remember being out here in Vegas in October and sitting down with Eric Tulsky right at the Waldorf Astoria that I'm looking at right now. And you know, he made it extremely clear what the goal was this season. And look, they went out and they got Nikolai Ehlers, who could be a game breaker. They went out and made the great trade for Keandre Miller. They obviously got Bussy off waivers. And you know, what he did is he looked at their shortcomings the last couple of years and he rectified them. And here they are, you know, a Stanley Cup champion for the first time in 20 years. Jordan
Staal is the oldest Conn Smythe winner in the history of the Stanley Cup. Does it seem like a good time to call it a career, or like, what do you think his approach is on that?
Yeah, it's a good question because I will say, you know, he's got term left on his contract. There have been a lot of rumblings, like would he go out on top? I don't know. My guess is that he doesn't. I think, look, when you get to his age, I think the biggest thing that becomes an issue is whether or not you want to put in the off-season work. And this is going to be a short off-season for him. But knowing Jordan and knowing the Stahls, I just feel like he's going to come back. You know, he's such a hockey player, and he keeps himself in incredible shape. You know, Eric Staal was saying to me earlier in the series, you know, what a freak athlete his brother is, that he wishes he got his physical dimensions. You know, Eric was probably the more skilled of the two, but he didn't, you know, he's more lanky, where Jordan is just an absolute, you know, monster on the ice, and might at the end of the day wind up having the best career of the 3 Staal brothers, and the 2 of them had incredible careers. So I give Jordan a lot of credit. It was incredible to be, you know, I think you know how much appreciation I have for Eric and what it was like to cover him here in Minnesota. And just to see Eric and his brother Jared and his brother Mark Staal, who played 17 years in the National Hockey League, just swarm the ice and attack their brother last night. It was just a really cool sight to see, and it was great, you know, getting Eric on the ice. I got Jordan alone after his press conference, and also Eric and Jordan were kind enough to pose for pictures on the ice for me. So it was just a really cool scene.
A couple on the local team before we say goodbye. Are the Stars in any way potentially a roadblock for the Wild with Dylan Larkin? Do you think they might be interested in the Red Wings centerman?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be roadblock. You know, originally there's no doubt that he asked he gave them a list of 3 teams. I do think that his agent, Pat Brisson, is working with Steve Yzerman now, and is, you know, willing to expand that list. And I do think he has already expanded that list. And if he expands that list, it will make it harder for the Wild to get involved. I mean, Dallas has definitely talked to, they've been added to the list, and Dallas has talked to Steve Yzerman, and I believe that there are other teams as well. Look, anybody in this league would want Dylan Larkin. And so it's going to be just interesting what happens here. Do they, you know, look, Florida would probably give them Anton Lundell. That'd probably be a better package than anything the Wild could give if Detroit wants to go the route of adding players for the now. If it's all futures, I think the Wild have a really good chance. I think the most likely avenue for the Wild to try to make a trade for Dylan Larkin is to turn this thing into a 3-team trade, and where Detroit feels like they're getting, more NHL type players than the Wild are willing to give up. Because the Wild, I don't think, are willing to give up Ballstead. I don't think they're willing to give up Eriksson Ek, and I don't think they want to give up Brodin. And if that's the case, it's just going to be hard if they want NHL players. But if you get a third team involved that will make that happen, I think that there's a chance. And the one thing I will say is that Pat Brisson, his agent, has a history of being able to help teams broker trades. This is a guy that might as well be an NHL general manager. So I think that if they're willing to do that and Bill Guerin can work with Brisson, I think there's always that chance. But the other thing is, I don't think that it necessarily has to be an imminent trade. I think this is the type of trade that could go deep into the summer if Steve Yzerman is not getting what he wants. So, we'll see. I know the Wild are absolutely being aggressive with this, but it's, the more teams that get involved just makes it obviously a lot more harder.
Lastly,
Russo Radio.
Any other sneaky moves you envision Billy G hiding up his tattered sleeve?
Well, I think, look, the one thing that is clear to me, and I'll hopefully check in with the Wild this week now that I get back to my day job when I get on that plane today. I do think that he's kind of hit the brakes on some signings just because he's got balls in the air, because he's trying to make trades. We all know this free agent class is brutal, so there's probably not a lot there that they can go out and do to really appreciably add at least scoring to the team or top 6 type forwards. So we'll see what happens. Matt Zuccarello is the one really outlier out there that's now hanging on whether or not they're willing to, bring him back. Obviously Tarasenko's still out there, and Nick Foligno's still out there in terms of deciding what they're going to do. So we'll see what they do. But I do think that Bill Guerin is having a lot of different types of trade conversations, but Dylan Larkin is clearly the big fish. And so, look, Bill Guerin could probably right now, today, trade for Vincent Trocheck, but you do that and it's taking you out of a Dylan Larkin trade. So I actually think that Larkin being suddenly available probably slows things down for the Wild. And the other thing is you want to be patient. Look, there's a chance that at some point next season or even later this summer that Brady Tkachuk tells Ottawa, I'm not re-signing there. And obviously that's somebody that would be interesting to the Wild. So if something doesn't happen this summer with the Wild, what Bill Guerin showed last season is that, you can make in-season trades if other guys suddenly want out. And I do think that this is just the beginning. I think Dylan Larkin is now it's going to be opening the door for other players to execute the same type of things to try to get out of their current situations.
Michael, you mentioned you're getting on a plane, so we're going to let you go. I have no idea why you're getting on a plane. I mean, you just concluded a 9-month grind of covering the NHL. You're in Las Vegas and you love Las Vegas. It seemed like a full week to decompress, but nevertheless, you're coming home, right?
Yeah. I think if I hadn't been gone since late May, I probably would stay a couple days. I know a couple writers that are doing that, a couple media people, but it'll be nice to get home.
Safe travels, brother. Thanks for the time.
Yep, see you, PA.
Yep, see you, man. Michael Russo at Russo Hockey via X. You're listening to the 9 to Noon radio show. P. Fox joins us in studio around the corner to talk about the NBA Finals.
The Fan has your chance to win $2,500. How about that? All you got to do, enter the keyword travel at KFAN.com. Do that right now. The keyword is travel. You enter it in at KFAN.com. Might win $2,500. How about that?
You're listening live to Paul Allen.
Here's P. Fox. No cap this, sus that. I know right this. Riz that. At Parker Fox 24 via X. Let's start with a controversial question. Good morning, P. Fox.
Good morning, PA.
The Spurs. Did the better team lose the NBA Finals? They led 72% of the series and are acting like they are shocked. The Knickerbockers had the audacity to beat them 4 times.
I don't think so, PA. I think the New York Knicks were a better team. And if you would have asked me that question going into the series, I would have said, well, look at what San Antonio has. They have 5 really good guards. They have the 6th man of the year in Keldon Johnson. They have Victor Wembanyama, who's arguably making his way to the best player on the planet, with all due respect to Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And they have a great Popovich kind of pulling strings behind the scenes and all that fun stuff. And they play hard, and they have veteran experience. They got Harrison Barnes on the bench. They got guys like Kelly Olynyk around. They got Bismack Biyombo. They have a full, complete team, and I was sold on them. And then I watched that series, and I think the Knicks completely deserved it. Just the way that they closed out games. I think every game, PA, like the Spurs were up 10 to 15 points early in the first quarter, and it looked like, oh, here goes another one. Here goes another blowout. But the New York Knicks just didn't go away, and I think that's the identity of their team. They continue to show up, and they find ways to win, and I think that's what makes Jalen Brunson and that New York Knicks team so special.
You never really want to see a centerpiece you trade, Karl Anthony Towns, win a title just 2 seasons removed from trading him.
I know.
I mean, like the Vikings with Darnold.
Yeah.
That had some disaster to it. David Ortiz and Beantown and all the titles and Minnesota Twins. Do you think Mavs fans care they let Jalen Brunson go, or are we too far removed from it and they had Luka?
I think they definitely do. I mean, yes, Luka is the perfect guy to supplement it, and I think if you were to ask Mavs fans, were you more upset when Jalen Brunson went or when Luka went, they would answer Luka. But look at what Jalen Brunson has become, PA. He's arguably a top 2 or 3 point guard in the NBA. He's so skilled at what he does. He's unassuming. What was it? 45 points in that game? He was unstoppable. He was 14 of 27 from the floor, 4 for 7 from 3. He absolutely showed up. And I think for me, he cemented himself as arguably one of the best Knick of all time. And that might be a crazy, comment, but he got it done, and he won a championship, and he put the team on his back. His team only scored 94 points, and he had 45 of them. So give him a lot of credit for what he does. He's a competitor.
Do you think, there's looking at the Brunson thing, because you just had my mind moving on this. Brunson, back in 2022, Brunson was willing to sign a 4-year, $55 million deal.
I know.
The team wouldn't finish the deal. And so then
Dallas?
By the time Dallas comes back and wants to revisit it, Brunson's like, nah, man, best of luck in future endeavors. And then he still took a haircut deal in New York so that they could surround him with some of the guys they did.
Well, he got a fat deal in New York, but he left $113 million.
A lot on the table,
Yeah, he could have pushed him for an extra $113.
He got 4-year, 156.
But he's like, well, then we can't fortify the village.
Exactly.
And they fortified the village with Bridges, Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
So that's
and a trophy.
And a trophy.
That's right.
By fortifying the village.
And that's what it is, PA. And I think that's something that's
4.55. That's what they offered him.
Yeah.
And he was willing to take it.
Oh,
no.
And the team said, well, hang on, let's pause on this.
Bruh.
And then when they tried to go back to the table, Brunson, I'm sure his agent was working behind the scenes.
Why can't you play Brunson and Luka together? Make Luka the 2.
You could. Luka's really primary ball. They're both so primary ball type of guys that it's like, is there enough time in 48 minutes?
And Brunson's just too small. That's really the problem with Brunson. He's just too small.
Yeah, just ask the Spurs. He's way too small.
Ask Devin Vassell. He couldn't guard him all
when
night
he's
long.
coming up big.
Oh, man.
OG. All right.
Ugh.
So again, loves we lost. Ain't great for business, ain't great for a fan base. 2 years removed from whether you liked him or not, Karl Anthony Towns, quite the polarizing figure. Has some Hall of Fame to him with that 3-point game. Now he has a ring. So, all right, there are some Timberwolves fans, including you, because I brought this up last week with when we were howling with the homies.
Yeah.
Where, it still bugs you a little bit. The cat's not on the team. You were a fan.
Of course.
Why wouldn't you be? You're a D1 big man. So, OG Anunoby, 3 seasons removed from the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, I know.
How badly is Raptors Nation taking this right now?
I know, and they didn't even get him in that championship, right? He was sick during that championship run in 2019. So
wow.
he didn't even really play. So this was his first championship where he felt like he had an impact on winning, and
he did.
And he certainly did. I thought he was probably the next best player. Cat obviously is one of those guys you want to put there, but he wasn't as good as he's been throughout this season and throughout his career.
The Cat was forever in foul trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
But you know what? he put himself in that. So, that has some L to it. But the respect level I have for Karl Anthony Towns because he killed Cleveland. I mean, murdered Mobley and Allen in the Eastern Conference Finals. But this wasn't his type of series for whatever the reason. But you know what? I got a lot of respect for somebody who doesn't mess it up.
Yeah,
Didn't complain. I'm not getting mine. Didn't clap for the ball every single time because he thought he was open.
Yeah.
He got out of the way and let others eat.
And that's credit to their head coach too, Mike Brown. You know, that they completely deployed him as a guy who was able to operate on the top of the key. And I think it's something where the Timberwolves didn't use him that way a lot. They used him a lot in pick and pop situations. They used him to space the floor. Cat became a playmaker at the top of the key, and I think that's something that really added to what New York could do. Jalen Brunson, he's a playmaker, right? But if you can add a guy in a 5-man who can stretch the floor to 35 feet and be able to still pass the rock all over the court, what else does that do? That makes Victor Wembanyama pull outside of the paint. Here we go. We're opening up the paint for open guys like OG Anunoby, and I thought he was fantastic. You talk about a guy who's already won a championship. He's still young. He's only 28, years old. $39 million he made this year. Second highest paid player on the team, which is crazy to think about.
Top 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah.
Two-way, specifically, defensively, perimeter. All right, 3-2. His perimeter defense, still fantastic.
I mean, he's a second-team all-defense player. I thought he was a snub for first-team all-defense. I think he's a guy that definitely deserves that year after year.
Loves we lost. Mikal Bridges. He was with Brooklyn 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How badly's Nets Nation taking this right now? I mean, he just won a title right around the corner.
They would need a whole lot more than just Bridges to figure something out there in Brooklyn, I'll tell you that much. But he is a fantastic piece, and I think it's something to be said about the guys that are there, right? Josh Hart, Bridges, and Brunson, the Nova boys, right? They've found it throughout themselves in college, and they were able to do it at the pros. I think it's so special to be able to do it with a couple guys in college and then do it at the professional level. Like, I know they're really enjoying this one.
Like if you and Brody got together on a D1 team, like
could happen,
Dartmouth, and took it down.
Dartmouth.
You and Brody, though.
That education, though.
Who was the cat? Was it Cam Johnson or Cam Smith that the Nets traded? He went to Denver, maybe?
Cam Johnson, yeah.
Okay, Cam Johnson. Well, it's a great example because Bridges was like the dude for the Nets. Yeah. You're watching him in LFL style. That box score is just filling up.
Ski mask, though, with that season he had in Phoenix, got himself paid.
Yes, he did. That's the key. But he couldn't be the absolute alpha on a winning team. And that's not even a shot at Bridges. It's about fits and placement.
Yeah.
And he found his way to a spot where he just had to be himself.
Yeah.
Didn't have to carry the team.
There we go.
And that is part of, again, putting those pieces together.
Yeah.
So, the Nets are probably like, damn, man. Like,
I know.
Nets Nation.
We're still sweating like the D-Lo move from years ago.
I think it shows you how valuable a guy like Bridges is, right? He's got the largest guaranteed contract on that Knicks team at $133 million. And
bigger than Cats.
Well, it's because it's spread out over more years, but nonetheless,
total money, yeah,
total money.
Cats like $50 million a year moving forward.
Cats
something like
53, 57, and then a player option 61. So
got a ring though.
Got a ring. That's also why we couldn't afford to keep him here in Minnesota. But no, Mikal Bridges, he's one of those guys you want, right? He does everything. He plays all 82 games. He defends. He knocks down open shots. He takes on individual matchups. Like, that's a type of guy that when you're constructing a roster and you're looking across the board, how do we win championships? You need guys like Mikal Bridges.
How? I mean, I can't be mad at Mikal Bridges here. If he goes to the Nets thinking he's going to be the alpha, well, that's on him. He's got to look in the mirror. You roll into a team with Nick Claxton.
I always love that one.
You ain't going to be the alpha, man.
Don't do Nick like that, man. Come on.
I mean, don't you see who's on the bench?
That's fair.
That's Ben Simmons.
I always love that.
He's fishing, man. He's too busy fishing.
Plays like 40 minutes the entire season and makes like $80 million a year.
Oh, I'd forgotten Simmons existed for a little bit until after the De'Aaron Fox L at the end of the game. I saw some post on X. Simmons knows what to do with that stuff.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's great.
That's excellent.
Okay, and finally, with the loves we lost and fan bases and stuff, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, T-Wolves fan base, home of the How, OG, Raptors Nation. There have to be about 8,000 of them, just all agitated. OG went out there and won a title without him. Mikal Bridges and the Nick Claxton fan club. I mean, they saw it coming 2.5, 3 years ago. But how about this one? Jose Alvarado.
Jose, though.
He played 41 games for the Pelicans this season. So if you're Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, or Bobby Hebert down Cajun country way, you might have a game-worn Jose Alvarado. Played 41 games for Pels Nation. And now he's hoisting the Larry O.B. Holy cow.
One of my favorite players in the NBA, man. One of my favorite personalities across the league. I think he's absolutely hilarious, and his game speaks for itself, right? One of my favorite clips of all time, it's Pelicans versus Wolves. D'Angelo Russell's getting back on defense, and he's mic'd up, and he goes, "Hey, can this guy shoot?" He's yelling to his bench, and Jose Alvaredo's like, "Yeah, I can shoot, man." And then he pulls up and he makes one. It's just all time. But no, he's a guy that definitely deserves a championship. You talk about guys coming off the bench, giving you energy, giving you life. He basically took Miles McBride's job, and Miles McBride was Deuce McBride. That is, he was the guy that came off the bench and he was kind of a microwave. And Jose Alvarado just is like, "Hey, you got to play me because of all the intangibles that I bring: the hustle, the effort, the energy, the defensive prowess." Like he basically made himself playable throughout this series, and he won himself a championship.
Well, in Game 4 too, in the big comeback, I think he had like 5 fouls in 9 minutes.
Sounds about right.
But the combo of him and Brunson on the court at the same time in that game completely changed the script.
Totally. Wait, I'm still moved by you going pear-shaped 48 seconds ago. Do you realize the 6 words you uttered to tens of thousands of people on major market radio?
What did I say?
6 words. D'Angelo was getting back on defense.
What you just said,
are you kidding me?
Is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever
really
heard.
Uttered that?
Oh, no.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Don't do D'Lo like that, man. Oh no.
So the learning experience that clearly this was for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
Where we played a couple of Wemby bites earlier, and he's like, we dominated a majority of the series. Mm-hmm. But when we made mistakes, they punished us. All right, cool. He's kind of towing the line there a little bit of like, we should have won, the better team lost, but he didn't get there.
Yeah.
But then he talked about the learning experience, and I mean, there is experience and an education to be had here about how to handle pressure. Yeah. That includes the coach, Mitch Johnson, who's super new. This was his first full season.
Good point.
So he's losing his 1A too. Sean Sweeney, Cretan Durham Hall going to Orlando.
Yeah, he's going to do a great job.
So they got a little adjustment there too. But guys who genuinely needed this series, to find the bottom and maybe ascend to the top.
Yeah.
From here, we got Wemby at 22, Stephon Castle, 22, Devin Vassell, 25, Dylan Harper, 20 years of age. So, like De'Aaron Fox mostly came up bad at key times.
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes is all done. And one of your favorite players, Keldon Johnson.
Come on.
I always love that one.
Who you said is the best 6-man award winner in the history of the NBA.
Yeah, you said it.
Sadly for you, he ended up being the 8th man behind Harper and whomever.
Luke Cornett, come on.
All-NBA Finals. But seriously speaking, though, just because 22 for Wemby goes to 23 and Castle 22 to 23 and Vassell 25 to 26 and Harper 20 to 21, it promises them nothing. Know what I mean?
No, and it does. And I think something that does help out there is Harrison Barnes is your 3rd highest paid player at $19 million a year, and that contract's done. So he's going to be a free agent this upcoming year. He's going to be looking for.
Oh, so they're really good and they got cap space.
They got a little cap space.
So the Thunder are really good. They got a little cap space and 19 first-round picks. Yeah. This just keeps getting better.
Yeah, we're at a trouble spot here, PA. We're at a trouble spot. But I think if you look at the San Antonio team roster and you look at their kind of leader in the backcourt, De'Aaron Fox, I'm excited to see what they do because Dylan Harper became that guy, right? At 20 years old, Dylan Harper became mostly because I see all the same stuff everybody sees. I hear all this. I love Dylan Harper. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'd love to have him on this squad. Don't get me wrong. They put him in position a couple of times late in games.
They did.
And he just put his head down, was not looking to pass. I'm Dylan Harper. I'm the next it. I'm getting to the rim. kept kicking the ball off his knee.
Big missed layup, too, down the stretch as well.
Right, because he forced it.
Yeah, he did. He did force it a little bit.
That's fine. That's fine. He's the bomb.
But you got to learn from it, right? And you got to figure out ways to hey, you're going to have a long career. You're
like Nordo says, he's dope, but he's broke, but he's dope.
I always love that one.
I'd love to have him on the team. I'm sorry. Go ahead, P-Fox.
No, I was just kind of rounding out their roster, right? And the best contract is Julian Champagny. You got a $3 million team option for a starting player on your team that shoots it at 45% from three.
He came back to the pack a little bit too in this NBA Finals.
He did, but he's 24 years old.
I know.
He's young.
Only 24.
He's 24 years old, and he's young, and he's going to continue to learn. So I really like the outlook of this Spurs team moving forward. They're going to have some really good battles with OKC in the Western Conference.
OKC, what about us?
Yeah, why not?
When and how? How and when?
You immediately went to the Thunder instead of your favorite squad.
How do they get to the NBA Finals, and when?
We got some things to do.
We got Anthony Edwards.
But we don't have a Robin, and all these great teams have Robins, and so we got to go find that guy.
We didn't even have a healthy Batman this playoffs with Ant.
That's Champagny, 24 years of age.
Yeah,
his twin plays for Washington, right?
Justin. Yep.
What a great power trip bit. All right, Sauce.
Oh, no.
If Julian Champagny is 24, how old is his twin?
I always love that one.
They're asking me to do math. Oh, yeah. Calculator, look at yeah. All right, so.
Oh, a little Sauce stray.
There it is. There it is. NBA season's come and gone. When you were watching the Stanley Cup final last night, we've been wondering, so what did Taylor have to say about the game?
I always love that one.
That doesn't offend you, does it?
No, it doesn't offend me at all.
Not like my man on the public address announcer at Target Field, whomever it is.
Oh, yeah.
Is like, ladies and gentlemen, honorary whatever, Taylor Heisey, blah, 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 and Parker Fox, best known for being Taylor Heisey's fiance.
I always love
and the crowd goes wild.
Talk about catching a stray.
Hey, being a +1 is not a bad spot to be, PA. I'll tell you what.
Oh, man, you ain't riding sidecar in this operation.
I love you.
It's 1A, 1B, and 1C. Love you too, ma'am, and we love Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park. Father's Day is big at Continental Diamond, including this Friday and Saturday with a trunk show, so you can get daddy all set up with maybe a bracelet or a necklace. If you need a Father's Day idea, ContinentalDiamond.com. Thank you, Pete Fox. Have a great day, my brother.
Yeah, you too, man.
That's Pete Fox. Nordo and I put a wrap on the show around the corner by saying it is now post time for the post game, and it's next.
What up, post-game 9 to noon? The show will be podcastable just in minutes, really. And we appreciate you for listening live or via podcast. Learned a lot of cool stuff today, including PA's affinity for Sergio Tacchini sweatsuits.
Wow.
Feathered hair, headbands, big J-Mac as in John McEnroe vibes from the host years past. I dig that. Speaking of years past, how about the Stanley Cup winning Carolina Hurricanes? They've been in the mix. They've been a bridesmaid. Couldn't find their way over the top. They do.
What a world.
But Rob Brindamore, of course, the head coach of the Canes, at one point was a steely player. And Pat Micheletti was on and was kind of describing what was Rod like as a player that brought him down to the road to who he is now as a coach.
What type of player he was? The same type of coach you watch him behind the bench. He's fiery. He's tough. He has that mentality of he doesn't care who you are. He's going to beat you type mentality. We're friends after. We're not friends when we're competing. And, call it old school, call it what you want. But, and that instills what he instilled in his players, and they showed it.
Yeah, it was an impressive run by...
Well, with Brindamore, off what Mick Tocchet said, he has the attitude and the approach of no matter what it takes, you're not going to beat me.
Yeah.
Well, they hadn't won a cup in 20 years. He's coached there. He's coached there for like around a decade.
Yeah.
So there's been some part of it where they found a way to beat Super Special Rod. But not this time.
Not this time. To Russo Radio, more hockey conversation, but specific to the Minnesota Wild. News breaking, of course, within a few weeks now that Dylan Larkin no longer interested in offering his services to the Detroit Red Wings. Ooh, he looked good on the Minnesota Wild, but Dallas might be in the mix. A lot of teams might be in the mix. Sounds like it's about to get mighty muddy for Billy G and the Wild, right, Russo?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be roadblock. Originally there's no doubt that he asked he gave them a list of 3 teams. I do think that his agent, Pat Brisson, is working with Steve Yzerman now and is, willing to expand that list. And I do think he has already expanded that list. And if he expands that list, it will make it harder for the Wild to get involved. Dallas is definitely talked to. They've been added to the list, and Dallas has talked to Steve Yzerman, and I believe that there are other teams as well. Look, anybody in this league would want Dylan Larkin, and so it's going to be just interesting what happens here. Do they, Florida would probably give them Anton Lundell. That'd probably be a better package than anything the Wild could give if Detroit wants to go the route of adding players for the now.
And the key, and he would continue on, I really encourage you to podcast that segment early 11 a.m. hour. A big part of that chat was the fact that you have to determine what Detroit's outlook is, what they actually want. If they want NHL now players, well, the Wild, that's going to be trouble. If they want future assets that can work and develop into the mix, that's where the Wild can help. So interesting part of that kind of, I think about the NBA when it comes to 3-team trades, but Russo was kind of navigating. Sounds like Larkin's agent is somebody that's amicable to being part of the deal-making process. But again, not something necessarily that we're expecting tomorrow. This type of thing, it may take some time into the summer, which it sounds like by all accounts that's okay if you end up with the right answer and maybe the right player in Dylan Larkin.
The reason I brought up the Dallas Stars is I saw something over the weekend, might have been from the Freep, if the Freep even still is a thing, the Free Press in Detroit.
Yeah.
Jason Robertson for Dallas is the key here.
Oh.
You see, he's a free agent, but he's a restricted free agent. Now, unlike Nordo, he's dope, but he's broke, but he's dope. Excuse me, unlike P-Fox. Okay, 3-2.
Hold on.
You tell I heard an Eminem song yesterday? I was trying to find a way to put in a race call when a horse came up 5 wide. Here comes Nordo, round the outside, and he takes the lead into the final furlong. I almost did that yesterday, but I couldn't pull it off.
I did grow up in a 16x80, so I'm in that song.
See, but at that time you needed somebody to remind you that you're dope, but we're broke.
Yeah.
But we're still dope.
Jason Robertson.
So here's the deal.
Is not broke.
Right. He's a restricted free agent. Previous cap hit 7 points. This is FISA, Fairness and Stealing Act. Stole it from somewhere. Can't remember where. But a sign and trade with Robertson. So he's a restricted free agent. Dallas supposedly is going to give him a deal. But if it gets matched, if somebody comes after him, they can match him.
Right.
All right. So with that said, if they sign Robertson to the right kind of deal, well, that may offset what they're going to have to give Dylan Larkin. So Dallas may dangle Jason Robertson in that old deal.
So this is like the NHL version of like a sign and trade.
That's what it is.
So they make the deal. Okay. Well, this sucks.
Maybe it was speculation.
Well, this is speculation season.
Yeah, it was speculation. It was dope, but it made me feel like I was broke. But 9 to noon still dope.
And finally,
I'm not messing those lyrics up. It's something close to that.
I'm not familiar with the song, to be honest with you.
Round the outside.
Oh, that's in that song?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. It's Eminem. I'm going to listen now. As soon as we're done, I'm going to listen to it. Finally, something that we learned today as part of the post.
No, you're not, but I love the way you lie.
That is Wemby believes they dominated most of the series. Maybe the better team didn't win.
The margin of error is very, very thin. Our domination stints are absolute. We absolutely dominated for most of the series. But our errors, our mistakes are punished so hard that we can't have ups and downs like this so much, The ups are okay. The downs, it's the reason we lost.
Well, we're all learning. We learned today 9 to noon. Sergio Tacchini, this and that. Wemby learned that they dominated the series and they learned a bunch of lessons, but we're not sure what the lessons are.
Free recliners at Canterbury Sunday for Father's Day, CanterburyPark.com.
Father-son race call, Steve's Appliances. Let's just make a marathon out of it, Steve'sAppliances.com.
Dean's making plays at everybody's house.
It was an unbelievable series, and it matched kind of the immaturity and the unknowns of the youngins on the Spurs with this beautifully constructed roster that you have in New York. It was awesome to see the 53-year drought. Another player, Lovely lost. Cat hoisting the Larry O'Brien. All that played into a terrific weekend of sports.
And with the when and how, or how and when, how do the Wolves, how do the Wild, how do the Vikings wear crowns and hoist trophies? The Vikings get center stage tomorrow on a Talkback Tuesday provided by Northern Fire. He's Nordo. I'm Paul Allen. May God bless you and all of your families. Thank you very much for listening to 9 to Noon. Thank you very much for believing in and listening to FM 100.3 KFAN. And the program is next. Bye.
9 to Noon.
Good time, hanging in a joint. Good times, ain't we lucky we got 'em. The game is over. Good times.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
From the 1-800-ASK